We are together, we are strong, we are not alone, we are angry, and we will keep fighting. Because when people ask us, why are we here today trying to make this change? Why are we trying to make this change in our homes, in our schools, in our workplaces, and in our communities? I'm going to say, because we can!
This is the London Slutwalk! Walking for the radical notion that no one deserves to be raped.
We're marching in London today. While we do so, I think it's important that we think about our sisters resisting in other countries. Women's rights activism is global. It's alive and flourishing everywhere. Why? Because no matter where you are and who you are, life is not the same for women as it is for men.
No, say hey, hey, ho, ho. Yes means yes and no means no. Say hey, hey, ho, ho. Yes means yes and no means no. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Yes means yes and no means no.
In a society where one such glance could put me in great danger, I'd rather look down at the floor than smile at a stranger. And in this tragedy of modern times where every man's a threat and every woman on her own is clearly asking for it, I fight and fight and fucking fight to keep my head held high. So if I'm not catching your glances, I'll be looking at the sky, because I've seen the way things could be and I've seen the way things are, and there's nothing nice or wholesome about murder, rape or war, and there's absolutely nothing fair about the lack of equal pay, or the fact that thousands of women are assaulted every day.
We are here because we've had enough. We're here because we live in a slut-shaming society and a victim-blaming society. Rape victims, unlike any other victim, are asked, did you flirt with him? What were you wearing that night? Your clothing won't prevent you from being raped. Your society should be protecting you from rape.
Just ask yourself how you would feel if every single day, when you went to your wardrobe or you walked a certain way, you had to wonder what a judge would say about your skirt, or whether if you wear those heels you're asking to get hurt, and whether you should have a drink or stick to lemonade, because you know how many women every minute are betrayed by someone they thought they could trust, or who they have just met.
Those of us who come to Britain looking for safety and protection as asylum seekers, 70% have suffered rape.
So if you see me in the street, don't ask me for a smile, and don't assume I dress for you or appreciate your vile assertion of ownership on a body that's my own, when all I really want to do is make it safely home. So don't attempt to hit on me with chauvinistic bile, and before you comment on my shoes, try walking in them for a mile. Thank you.
Let's fight together for the power to refuse rape, for the sex lives we want, for safety, for justice, for compensation. The state must protect us and prosecute rapists. Thank you very much.
It's not about clothes and about how much you wear and about how little.
Men do not understand. They just don't. They see violence, they see rape as statistics, and they can count numbers. What they do not have is the lived experience, the experience of going out and going out in fear.
All slutwalkers agree that this protest is not about women's clothes. We will wear what we damn well like.
that goes across the world. There is an uprising taking place all over the world where people are standing up and saying they have had enough, and women are part of that fight back.
Wherever we go, yes means yes. And no means no. Wherever we wear, wherever we go, yes means yes. And no means no.
There is all kind of very good sex to go around. There is gay sex and bisex and trans sex and heterosex. We can have any kind of consenting adult sex we like. And by the way, we don't go blind from masturbation. Demonizing sexy clothes is a facile displacement. It avoids the issue. The issue is the bodily integrity and the freedom from rape of all human object beings, male or female, however sexy or ugly we are deemed to be, and whatever we are wearing. There are thousands of examples of people trying to divide women against each other. But we won't let women or men divide us against each other. More likely to get raped, David Cameron or David Beckham. No one warns men that if they unbutton their shirts and wax their chests like Simon Cowell, that they risk being raped. No one warns men that if they stay out late, partying and getting pissed like Ryan Giggs, that they risk being raped. I know what would soon put a stop to this victim blaming. If women went around shoving bottles up men's arses and then pleading in court that they were aroused and provoked by his builder's crack, that would soon stop a victim blaming.
Women experience sexual violence, displacement, torture, femicide, and kidnapped. But the needs, realities, experiences, and perspectives of women are often excluded from consideration. Only 1 in 40 signatories to peace agreements are women, and only 16% of peace agreements even mention women. And often, even when they do, even when women are mentioned, it's to restrict their rights. This is not a coincidence. When women's voices are not heard, women's needs are ignored. When women are marginalized and excluded from power, men think it's okay to say things like, women should avoid dressing like sluts in order not to be victimized.
So if you wear too much, they have a problem. If you wear too little, they still have a problem. Make your bloody mind up.
Being called a slut is the least of it. We're stereotyped as happy hookers or as poor victims, and we're neither. We're mothers raising children. We're young people who go into prostitution as a survival strategy to escape rape and violence in the home and in care. We're women seeking asylum prostitution by the government. We're students who are now having to make up for tuition fees and for the education maintenance allowance that's been cut. That's the money that we are earning through prostitution.
Slutwalkers stand shoulder to shoulder with poor women, with posh women, with women in tweed suits, with women in Topshop, with women in boiler suits, and women in their birthday suits. We are shoulder to shoulder with teachers and pensioners and bunny girls and doctors and mothers and glamour models and nurses and secretaries and pole dancers and priests and politicians and sex workers. We refuse to be graded as women more or less likely to get raped. We refuse to allow anyone to divide us against each other, to divide us into sluts or ladies, intelligent or stupid, good or bad women, virgins or whores.
A woman is raped on a night out with friends when she's wearing a short skirt. If she has been instilled with the idea that men rape women because they can't control themselves, or because they have somehow been invited to rape her by her provocative clothing, well, she'll feel somewhat responsible for what happened. Her shame and guilt will make it harder for her to tell a friend, to report, and to place the blame where it belongs. What she needs is for someone to tell her that rape is a crime, the legal definition of which is penile penetration of the vagina, anus, or mouth without reasonable belief in consent. The responsibility for that crime being committed lies solely with the perpetrator of that crime. Rape is a crime regardless of your relationship to the perpetrator.
There is a future out there where men and women are truly equal. And seeing you all here today is a wonderful reminder that we are the future. I wanted to give a brief shout out to the men who are here in solidarity. Because yes, there are a lot of men here today, which I'm very, very pleased to see. Because clearly there are some of us who do believe that another world is possible, a world in which patriarchal power is replaced by people power, which is so much more powerful.
This does not end here today, and that we will continue fighting every day until sexual assault is never acceptable, until she deserved it is no longer part of our collective vocabulary, and until no one gets raped ever again.
At the end of the day, rape is rape, violence is violence, and it's time it stopped.
We've all been asked a lot of times, why did you call this campaign Slutwalk? I mean, slut means dirty, immoral, promiscuous. It doesn't really even have a meaning. You can get called a slut when you slept with 5 people, or you can get called a slut when you've never even slept with anyone. But today, I think slut has a very concrete meaning. Slut means speak up!
It's often very, very easy to feel like you're on your own if you believe that another world is possible at the moment.
And today, we're asking you all to join us to make this not just one day, which has been an incredible day, by the way, but a lasting fight against victim blaming. We're asking you today to speak up and tell us what you're doing. Send a video, an article, a photo, whatever, to speak@slutmeanspeakup.org, telling us what you're doing to speak up against sexual assault. We will use those videos to inspire other women and to make survivors feel like they're not alone.
Let me ask you this. If I bend down, can you see my pants? Now, what makes you think you stand a chance just because my skirt is short? Well, so is my fuse, anger my muse, in this tiny town of no can-dos, where if you shout fire, people run to your aid. But if you shout rape, the price is paid in fame and shame and blame. Where your name is driven into the dust, along with your trust in the moment that thrusts the light out of your eyes. Your demise won't be mentioned in the local news because you choose to keep breathing. 100 deaths in every breath, and all they can ask is, how short was your skirt? Like they can measure the hurt in a plunging neckline or how much wine you were drinking. Girl, what were you thinking? Were you walking alone? Well, next time stay at home like you did before with those other men. How many was it again? And they'll reel them off, memories tainted. Tainted, and recall how you fainted that night in the station. Drunk, no doubt. Chicks these days, huh? No, I'm talking about dicks these days and the power to choose how you use your body. So if I bend down now, what do you see? My choice, my right, my liberty to act and to speak and to dress as I please. So keep your sleaze, your thoughtless shout, for I have no doubt that a change must come. And as I stand on your stage and speak my rage, I can see it's already begun.
So, there's one more thank you, and that's to all of you! All of you! Big up all of you for coming along and making sure that the blame for rape goes back to the rapist. It should never be on the survivor and the victims. Bye! This is the London Slutwalk! And we are walking for the radical notion that no one
It means speak up for the right to define your own identity and for the right to make your own choices. It means speak up against sexual violence and against victim blaming. It means speak up against unjust governments, courts and police. And that's the name of our campaign. SLUT means speak up.